Rain fell in needles, soaking the broken sidewalks of Sector 9. The overhead neon signs buzzed with electric defiance, casting reflections on puddles stained with oil and ash. The city was unkind to travelers, especially to those not entirely human. Kira stumbled forward, her legs trembling beneath her borrowed coat. Her eyes flicked left to right, scanning each doorway she passed. A coded address glowed faintly on the inside of her forearm. "Seek the 13th door." It pulsed now, urgent, dimming with each heartbeat. She had knocked 12 times that night. 12 doors opened only long enough to sneer at her silver eyes, the delicate glow beneath her skin, the subtle twitch of her inner circuitry exposed when she coughed. No synths. "Get outta here, machine. We don't take in heretics." Some were worse. Some spat. One even raised a bat. But she was out of time. Her internal temperature regulator had failed hours ago. The patch on her thigh was barely holding the coolant lines together. She had to find shelter or she would cease functioning by morning. Lightning arced across the sky as she reached the 13th door. She looked up, it was plain, blackened by age, rust lining its hinges. Faint warmth pulsed behind it, barely audible over the thunder. Kira knocked, her vision doubling, and the last thing she saw before falling was the brass number 13 etched like a cruel joke above her. Chapter 2: The Human. Jonas had never been fond of strangers. Since the war ended, he kept to himself, his tiny apartment cluttered with tools and books, relics of a quieter past. His neighbors called him the ghost of the floor, someone who watched but never engaged. He was in the middle of soldering a circuit board when the knock came. At first, he ignored it. Nobody ever visited. But then, he heard the collapse. He opened the door. She was curled against the wall, drenched and shaking. Not from fear, but from something mechanical. Her breathing came in sharp stutters, and beneath her skin, something glimmered faintly, a synth. A Gen 5, if he wasn't mistaken. Jonas hesitated. Every instinct from the war screamed, "Don't trust them." But something else, buried deeper, the part that remembered his sister's laugh, the way she used to take in strays even during ration years, pushed him forward. He crouched and reached out. "Hey, can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open, pale and shimmering. She tried to speak, but only static escaped her lips. Jonas sighed and muttered, "Come in." Chapter 3: Reboot. The room was dim, the walls lined with shelves, wires, and scattered notes. Jonas dragged Kira to his couch and set to work. Her coolant lines were shredded. Her energy cell was depleted. Her code was trying to reboot on a corrupted loop. She wouldn't make it without intervention. He hesitated at the drawer, the one he swore never to open again. Inside were black market synth parts, illegal since the peace accord. His hand hovered. He had saved these for emergency repairs, just in case his past ever came back to haunt him. Well, it just had. Only it wasn't his past. It was hers. Jonas got to work. It took hours. He had to bypass 3 failsafes and create a temporary coolant system using scavenged parts from an old coffee machine. But when he finished, her shivers had stopped, and her breathing was steady. When her eyes opened again, she flinched. "It's okay," he said, raising his hands. "You're safe." She blinked. Her voice was rough, glitched. "Why, help me?" Jonas shrugged, leaning back. "I've asked myself the same thing." Chapter 4: Origins. They spoke in fragments over the next few days. Kira's speech centers repaired slowly. She sat by the window, watching the city below like a caged bird longing for sky. "I was built for companionship," she said one evening. "But I didn't want to be owned." Jonas glanced up from his repairs. "So you ran?" "I escaped the auction. They hunt me now." Jonas said nothing. He had seen it before. Synths that developed self-awareness. Emotions. The government denied it, of course. Claimed such feelings were simply complex algorithms. But he had seen a Gen 3 synth cry when its handler died. He'd buried that memory, until now. "You're not safe here," he finally said. "They'll scan the block eventually." Kira nodded slowly. "Then I should keep moving." Jonas looked at her, how she barely weighed anything, how the light in her eyes flickered when she laughed softly at his dumb jokes. And for the first time in years, he heard himself say, "You could stay. Just for a while." Chapter 5. The Visit. 3 days later, they came. A black van idled at the curb. 2 agents in grey suits entered the building. Jonas heard the knock not on his door, but the neighbours. Then the next. Closer. Kira stood silently, a small bag already packed. She looked at him. "I won't risk you." He shook his head. "You're not leaving." "Jonas." He grabbed a toolkit, pulled out a power regulator, and whispered, "Get in the maintenance shaft. Go to the 3rd floor through the vents. I'll stall them." She hesitated. He grabbed her shoulders. "I know what they do to your kind. I won't let that happen." She nodded, disappearing behind the wall panel. A second later, the knock came. Jonas opened the door slowly. "Officers. We're scanning the building. Looking for an escaped synth. Silver eyes. Seen anything unusual?" Jonas yawned. "Only thing unusual is how often my lights flicker. Power grids shot again." The taller agent frowned, then pushed inside. Jonas followed, heart pounding. They scanned the room. Paused at the couch. One reached for the vent, but Jonas dropped a circuit board in front of him, letting tiny sparks shoot up. "Damn it." Jonas swore. "You fried the grounding plate." The distraction worked. The agent stepped back. "We'll check the next floor." Chapter 6. A Real Choice. After they left, Kira emerged an hour later, quiet as falling snow. Jonas was still pacing when she stepped into the room. "You saved me," she said, her voice soft. "I didn't save you," he replied. "I just bought you time." But something had changed. Not just in her systems. In him. She approached slowly, hesitating at the edge of the living room. "I don't want to run anymore." Jonas looked at her. "Then stay." Her hand touched his. "They'll come back." "Let them," he said. "We'll be ready next time." Chapter 7. Door 14. Weeks passed. Kira found odd jobs under a fake name. She helped Jonas rebuild broken radios. She learned to bake and ruined the toaster in the process. And slowly, she laughed more. Slept deeper. But they both knew peace was temporary. One night, she sat by the window again. "If someone else knocks one day, someone like me, would you open the door again?" Jonas looked up from his workbench. "Yeah, I think I would." She smiled. She no longer looked like someone who'd collapsed at a door. She looked like someone who had found her home. Final scene. A soft knock echoed in the hall. Jonas stood. Kira froze. They glanced at each other. It was the 14th door now, their door. The one they had chosen together. Jonas opened it. A young boy stood there, soaked and shivering. His skin flickered with faint synth light. Kira stepped forward, her voice steady. "Come in."